Good morning, everybody. Got my partner in crime here. He's in a very, very bitey mood. So if I yelp randomly in this video, you know why. Welcome to week 4 of online learning. I want to start off today's video lesson with a motivational bit because I think we all could use a bit of that right now. So last night I watched the first 2 episodes, really the first 1.5 because I fell asleep. So I'm going to rewatch. But the first 2 episodes of Last Dance, which is a documentary about Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls, and their final NBA championship together. And for those of you who are struggling to stay motivated right now, which is a lot of you, you've told me about it, I highly recommend following this 10-episode documentary. So each Sunday, 2 new episodes are going to debut. Michael Jordan is a very polarizing athlete and figure. I've never known an athlete to push themselves so hard or so much to be better. This dog. And that's truly what MJ is known for. He has something that sets him apart from most other people, and I'm not talking about his athletic ability. He has this mindset where he's able to view the problems and challenges in his life as opportunities. And I want to challenge you all to try and cultivate that mindset over the time that we are apart. It's so easy to come up with all these excuses to not be our best, but realize that what these excuses represent is a fear of being great or a fear of failure or a fear of rejection. And so I want to challenge you when you start to feel any negative feelings come up, to just sit with those and try to understand what they're really about. And try and harness whatever negative energy is filling you up and turn it into a power that you can use to make a difference, either for yourself or the people around you. Because our mindset certainly affects that of the people you're around. And you're with the same people every day, so you have a major effect on them. Anyway, that's just my little spiel, a little motivational bit. To start off the week, we are talking about a word called a bildungsroman. Bildungsroman. It's a type of novel, and it shows how someone grows from childhood to maturity. So the protagonist, the main character, they grow, they learn, they change in order to take their place in the world. A lot of people would refer to this as a coming of age novel. The word Bildungsroman is pretty funny sounding, right? So it's a German word, and it literally translates to novel of formation. So for the house on Mango Street, you can see over time that what's being formed is Esperanza's identity. We come to know her deepest wishes, her dreams, her inner thoughts, and the flaws that she has in her judgment and how she views the world. You know, she yearns to be this grown woman, but doesn't exactly know why. So, can you think of any similar examples of a Bildungsroman? An obvious one would be Harry Potter from the Harry Potter series. He starts off as the shy kid in a pretty powerless situation. He lives with his aunt, uncle, and cousin who are emotionally and verbally abusive, and they force him to live in a really tiny room. Not even a room, it's more like a closet underneath a staircase. And so once he realizes in the first book that he has these wizard powers and he goes to attend Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizardry, he starts to gain confidence. And he makes friends with people who admire him for his good qualities. Long Way Down is certainly a Bildungsroman. Through contemplating taking revenge on his older brother's murder, Will goes through this process of maturity. He shows emotion to other men and is accepted for it. He has to come face to face with his insecurities. We hope that once he walks out of the elevator, he realizes what all the ghosts in there have been trying to impart to him, that revenge is this vicious cycle and there's no happiness or good that comes from it ever. It takes from everyone involved, and the only thing it gives back is pain. And understanding how to put things in perspective and manage really intense emotions is all a part of maturing into an adult. So for today, I want you to go back to the chapters you read from last week in pages 39 through 56. There are 6 stories to choose from, and I only want you to choose one. So that's a family of little feet, a rice sandwich, chunkless, hips, the first job, or Papa who wakes up tired in the dark. And as you reread your chosen chapter, think about how it contains elements of a bildungsroman. And I've included these notes in the read section. Come here, puppy. Come here. Of today's lesson plan. So I'll quickly go over those. Number 1, which we've already gone over, the story focuses on the psychological and moral growth of the protagonist from youth to adulthood. That can start when they're a child or a teenager. There he is. Hey. This little guy's still in youth, I think. He's got a long way to go before he matures. Anyway, number 2, the protagonist is often a sensitive person. They're looking for answers or experience. And I think Will from Long Way Down definitely fits in here. He wants to know who killed his brother. Number 3, the goal is maturity. And the protagonist achieves it gradually and with difficulty. It's hard won, so to speak. It's not just handed to you. Number 4, the protagonist is then able to reach out and help others after they've matured. You can definitely see that in the Harry Potter series because he and his friends are constantly making these difficult sacrifices for each other. Number 5, the plot has to follow a certain course. The plot is just the series of events that make up a story. And the plot in a bildungsroman is focused on growth. Number 6, these kind of stories often involve a separation from family. The protagonist wants to leave home or become their own person. This definitely reminds me of Corey from Fences, who wants to forge his own identity separate from Troy, his father. Fences is not a bildungsroman, though, because Troy is the protagonist, and the focus is more on his conflicts than Corey's. But if the story was, if Corey was the protagonist of Fences, then it would be a bildungsroman. Number 7, it's often an autobiographical form. That's when you're writing about your own life in first person. And while Sandra Cisneros does not write from an autobiographical form, Esperanza is this separate character. I do think that she's highly based off of the author, and the events in the story are likely based off of the author's personal experiences. You can just tell because the details seem so specific, as if you had to be there to really paint this setting, which is her neighborhood. Number 8, this dog is biting me. The protagonist often seeks to gain an identity of his or her own. We already talked about that a bit. Number 9, the protagonist is usually from a small, unspecial place, and they travel to somewhere more complex or exciting. Number 10, education is crucial to the protagonist. I'm not talking about school necessarily. I'm talking about wisdom, education, life experience. 11, at some point, the protagonist is going to become disillusioned. A lot of you know what that feels like right now. It means that you feel like giving up, or you just don't trust the entities or the powers that you used to trust. So the new world doesn't match the protagonist's shining hopes and dreams. Number 12, the protagonist at some point has to come to terms after some painful soul searching that it is what it is. This is reality. They may not like it, but they can figure out how to exist within it. This dog's gonna kill me. 13, finally, the protagonist is not superior to others. If you act superior to others, then you act like you're better than them. So our protagonist is usually humble. They're not, they can be confident, but not arrogant. There's a difference. So those are some of the elements of a bildungsroman. Stop biting me. Be nice. You hear me sound like a teacher again. Those are some of the elements of a Bildungsroman that I want you to look for in your chosen chapter that you reread today. So, in your Google Doc, title a new entry called Changes, and I want you to write a paragraph that answers the questions for your chapter. What changes are you seeing in Esperanza? How can you tell if she's picking up on those changes? How can you tell that others are noticing those changes? How does she feel about them? Is she comfortable with it? Is she struggling? What does she want? And how do these changes relate back to her identity? How are they going to impact the person that she becomes once she reaches the end of her coming of age? I want you to use at least one example of textual evidence in your paragraph to support your response. In your notes, you can, in your vignettes, I'll just put it up. I'll post it somewhere, but I've done a model response using a chapter that's not in the pages I want you to search within today. So I read the chapter Bums in the Attic, which is on pages 86 and 87. And in here, Esperanza muses about the kind of house she wants when she grows up. She says, "One day I'll own my own house, but I won't forget who I am or where I came from. Passing bums will ask, 'Can I come in?'" Passing bums will ask, "Can I come in?" I'll offer them the attic, ask them to stay because I know how it is to be without a house. And that's from page 87. This short chapter includes several elements of a Bildungsroman. This dog has to go down. Go down. Go play. We see that Esperanza wants to gain something of her own, in this case, a house. She's not superior to others, which we see from the kindness she extends to homeless people who want to stay in her hypothetical home. She's able to help others because she's gained this maturity. Younger people are typically more concerned with themselves, which is totally appropriate for that stage of human development. But we see that Esperanza is starting to move past that self absorbed mindset into one where she thinks about how her actions impact other people. That's it for today. If you need any help, attend the video conference from 11 to 12 or 1 to 2, and I'll help you out. Make sure that you include a citation for any textual evidence that you use. That's the author's last name, Cisneros, and the page number in parentheses. Take care.